guys, welcome back to Nina's Virtue. I'm so excited to be back with another influential, encouraging episode that will get us across to our finish line, where we see that the discipline, yes, can actually move us into the version of us that we're being shaped into, the version of us that is willing to grow, the version of us that is actually able to carry exactly what it is that we prayed for. I know I cannot speak for everybody, but I know there comes a time in our life where we start, quote unquote, manifesting. We start dreaming, planning, hoping, and praying because we have a vision of exactly who we are supposed to be. We have a feeling tied to this person we want to become, who we believe we are exactly, based off of our desire. Though it's not based off of a calling, it's not based off of guidance, it's not based off of God shaping us into something. But now we're going to have to decipher between who we want to be and who we have to be to carry what we pray for. Last week, talking about discipline, I shared with you guys that even on my journey, sometimes, it's very hard to still get up and do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. Still putting your best foot forward and staying on track of the things that you have committed to before God. And I understand that we are all living in a world right now where we have so many responsibilities that sometimes it's hard to build upon a craft that we don't feel 100% tied to. We don't feel 80% called to do. But the thing is that 20% turns into 40%, turns into 75%, turns into 100% when you start to get in the ebb and flow of exactly who God called you to be. The version God requires, the version your purpose demands, the version your blessings are attached to. The two versions of who you want to be versus who you have to be to carry what you prayed for, they don't always match. When we talked about the discipline, yes, we recognize the daily choices that anchor our calling, the structure behind our obedience, and the quiet work that nobody sees. But discipline isn't just about what you do. It's about who you're becoming while you do it. And today, we're going to bridge the gap between desire and identity, between who you want to be and who you actually have to be. There is a calling on your life. There is a desire from God for you to be bigger than what you can even imagine. Now it's time for you to walk into it. The version of you that lives in your imagination, that is your desired self. For me, I know she's confident, she's consistent, she's aligned, she's clear, she's walking in her purpose with ease. Baby! The desired version of me is definitely an illusion because I am not walking in purpose with ease. But I see this version of myself when I'm journaling, when I'm praying, and I get a glimpse of her when I feel most inspired. But my truth is, desire doesn't build that version of me. Discipline does. Prayer reveals what is possible, who I am capable of becoming. Then that is where my obedience starts to be churned and starts forming that version of me. Vision, the things that I can see, the things that I can imagine, it introduces my desired self to my present self. The process of walking away from my present self to become who I desire is what matures me. And on that journey of being matured, I start to recognize, I think we all do, the things that we once wanted are not aligned with who God is asking us to be. It's not aligned with what God is asking us to surrender. So it tells us to go ahead, let go. Let go of what we see and ask God to give us new eyes with a refreshed vision and an openness and a willingness to pursue life in the way that He wants. The you want to be is beautiful. But that version of you is not built on want. It's built on your willingness. You can pray for overflow, but the version of you your blessing requires knows how to manage, not just receive. You can pray for visibility, but that version of you has the confidence and consistency to show up even when it's uncomfortable. You can pray for peace, but that version of you has learned boundaries and obedience. Let's talk about the version of you that your blessing requires, because every blessing has weight. Every calling has a new unlocked character attached to it. Every answered prayer demands a version of you that can hold it. This phase, it's less about becoming more and more about shedding what can't go with you. Sometimes the real transformation is letting go of procrastination, letting go of the fear of being seen, letting go of emotional habits that keep you stuck. You don't need instant results. You have to choose consistency over motivation, obedience over feelings, and growth over comfort. I don't just want the blessing anymore. I want to become the version of me that can carry it, steward it, and not lose it. God doesn't withhold blessings. He protects them by preparing you. And sometimes that preparation feels like pressure because it's stretching you into the version of yourself that can carry what you asked for. Let's look at James 1:4. It says, "Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." That verse reminds me that God does not rush identity. He doesn't hand out blessings prematurely. He lets perseverance, which is where we embody the discipline, the consistency, and the obedience, finish its work so that when the blessing arrives, you're not lacking the character to hold it. This is why the version of you that prayed, it's not always the version of you that can receive. God is maturing you so you can carry what you asked for without collapsing under it. I know for me, there are a lot of times where I want the promise without the process. I want the blessing without having to build, without having to go through the pruning. I want to be elevated without having to test my endurance. But James is saying, don't rush out of what God is using to refine you. Every delay, every test, every moment where you have to stay disciplined, when you don't feel like it, it's all producing something in you. Maybe you need to strengthen your spiritual maturity. Maybe you need better stability with your emotions. Maybe you lack discipline. Maybe you have absolutely no endurance. And sometimes the wisdom could just not be there. Then we go to an identity gap, right? This is where most people get stuck between who they want to be and who they're willing to become. This can be a reflection of your habits, your lack of discipline, your lack of emotional regulation, honesty, healing. But the gap is not meant to put a strain on you, your relationship with God, or your purpose. It's aligning you to become a better steward of whatever God is calling you to do. It's God saying, I heard your prayer. Now let me shape the person who can hold the answer. The hard truth about who you want to be versus who God says you are is sometimes they don't match. Not because God is trying to limit you, but because we often build an identity out of desire, pain, comparison, or control, while God is calling us into an identity rooted in truth, purpose, and surrender. Who you want to be can sound like, I want to be successful, recognized, secure. I want a life that feels good and looks right. I want to be in control. None of those things are bad. Honestly, those are actually very human thoughts, right? But they can become dangerous if they're self-defined without God. Who God says you are is deeper. It's different. It's less performative, you know? If we were to use 2 Corinthians 5:17, you are new, not improved, but transformed. Proverbs 3:5-6 says you're not meant to lean on your own understanding, which means even when it comes to you yourself, you're going to have a hard time understanding yourself, understanding why you do the things you do, why you don't feel comfortable in certain atmospheres or environments. But that's when you lean on God because He's going to reveal it to you. The biggest test in all of this is you might have to let go of the version of yourself you've been chasing to become who you were actually created to be. And that can feel like a loss because the you that gets validation quickly might not be the you that's rooted. The you that moves fast might not be the you that is obedient. The you that looks successful might not be the you that is surrendered. And God will always prioritize your character over your image. This is where it gets a bit uncomfortable. Becoming who God says you are requires surrendering control, releasing timelines, and choosing obedience over your feelings. You have to be okay with being refined in private before being revealed in public. It's not always the version of you that gets applause, but it's the version of you that has peace, authority, and alignment. I had to realize that the person I was trying to become looked good to the world, but the woman God is forming in me is built to last. So here's the real question. Who do you have to become to carry what you prayed for? No longer living in a fantasy, not looking to emphasize or show out a new aesthetic, or to prove an asset in being a version of you that looks good online. What is the version of you that is grounded, that is emotionally mature, that is spiritually aligned, that is surrendered, most importantly, prepared? The version that can hold weight without crumbling. The version that can be trusted with more. The version that doesn't sabotage what you asked God for. This is an identity shift your purpose requires. You must know you're not just praying for a blessing. You're becoming the person who can carry it. You're not just asking for purpose. You're aligning with the identity that your purpose demands. You're not just dreaming about the future. You're being shaped for it. So today, let's settle in your spirit that you are being formed for what you asked for. You are being strengthened for what you prayed for. And most importantly, you are being aligned with what you were created for. The blessing is real. And no matter how long it takes to get there, you are capable of receiving it. It is actually already yours. You just have to believe. You just have to pursue it. You just have to fall in love with that purpose and that calling that God has placed on your life. And the version of you required to carry it right now is being formed. You are in the formation season. One disciplined yes at a time. Today, I want you to stop chasing a version of yourself that was built on pressure, comparison, or fear. And start surrendering to the identity God already called you into. You don't need to strive to become someone better in your own strength. You need to align, be refined, and be obedient. Because the truth is, the life you're praying for will require something from you. Not perfection, but maturity. Not performance, but character. And there's no need for control when you trust in God. So let God do the work in you. Let Him stretch you, correct you, and develop you. And don't rush the process just because it's uncomfortable. You won't just receive the blessing. You'll be able to carry it, steward it, and keep it. So from this moment forward, make this your posture. God, I don't just want what you have for me. I want to become who you've called me to be. And commit to choosing that version of you every single day. Thanks, guys, for joining me here. Have a good week.